Chapter 4, Part 3. King's Court, situated in County Cavan, was the residence of Lord Anthony McMahon, renowned as the largest farmer and livestock producer in all of Ireland. The McMahon family had held sway over the lands encompassing Cavan and Fermanagh for generations. Lord Anthony, in particular, was the Earl of Monaghan, a title he inherited when the previous Earl passed away without an heir. However, this earldom was later bestowed upon Ronan de Burgh, in recognition of his valor on the battlefield against Robert the Bruce, King of Scotland, securing him favor with King Richard II. Throughout history, the McMahons had maintained a stance of political neutrality, fostering amicable relationships with various factions, including the reigning monarch King Richard II, whose family they had known for generations. Despite his strong disagreement with the decision to grant Sir Ronan the earldom of Monaghan, Lord Anthony chose not to contest the king's decree, respecting the royal decision. Nevertheless, Lord McMahon observed with dismay the decline of Monaghan and its residents under Sir Ronan's rule. Regrettably, he and the other lords in the vicinity were powerless to effect any change, as Sir Ronan's authority extended only up to the boundaries of McMahon lands. King Richard II held Lord McMahon in high regard, appreciative of his long-standing friendship and the consistent supply of food to English troops in Ireland and England itself. Consequently, Sir Ronan was given strict instructions by the king to assist the McMahons in any way necessary, ensuring the unimpeded flow of food to the English forces stationed in Ireland and back in England. After enduring a decade of Sir Ronan de Burgh's tyranny over the people of Monaghan, Lord Anthony and his fellow lords reached a breaking point. It became evident that it was time to put an end to Sir Ronan's reign. As the story goes, on Christmas Eve in 1312 around 1 a.m., Sir Ronan's nephew Niall was inebriated to an extreme degree. He had been drinking heavily throughout the day and into the night, eventually leaving the local pub in Carrickmacross, a 30-minute horse ride from Blackstaff Manor. The events that followed this intoxicated departure would prove to be significant in the unfolding saga of Blackstaff. Niall and a few of Sir Ronan de Burgh's men had extended their pub festivities late into the night, forcing the pub owner to keep the establishment open. Once they had concluded their celebration, Niall ventured to the local merchant in Carrickmacross to procure a duck and other supplies for Sir Ronan's impending Yule celebration, scheduled for the following day. However, Niall in his drunken state was not content with the merchant's store being closed. He broke into the shop, awakening the merchant Vladimir Kazatsky, an Eastern European immigrant well known in the area who resided on the premises. Kazatsky, upon hearing the break-in, rushed into the shop in an attempt to remove Niall from his property. In his intoxicated rage, Niall ended up killing Kazatsky by stabbing him in the heart, employing a method he had used on many of his victims. As a further grievous act, Niall kidnapped Kazatsky's only daughter, who had awakened due to the commotion and attempted to intervene when Niall attacked her father. Niall had long harbored an infatuation with the 13-year-old girl, but had never mustered the courage to approach her, despite being a frequent visitor to the merchant's store where she worked. To add complexity to the situation, Vladimir Kazatsky's wife was not only married to an immigrant from Eastern Europe, but was also related to Lord Anthony McMahon through marriage. She was Lord McMahon's cousin and was overwhelmed with grief over the loss of her husband and the abduction of her daughter. The McMahons deemed it imperative to put an end to Sir Ronan and his oppressive rule, even if it meant going against the decree of King Edward II. Several hours later, around Sir Anthony McMahon's table sat Sir Anthony and 9 men, with more waiting outside the McMahon manor. Though not as grand as the Blackstaff Grand Hall, their table was set in a sizable room. Lord McMahon's 30-year-old son stood up and addressed his father and the assembled men, stating, "The Burgh's men are weakened for the Yule. I believe the time has come to end Sir Ronan's rule. He has broken the king's decree by committing theft, kidnapping, and murder against the McMahons. Justice must be served. Who is with me?" At that moment, one of the wealthy landowners who had arrived late to the meeting informed the gathering that he had witnessed approximately 50 men on horseback approaching from the south, potentially belonging to Edward the Bruce's faction. They were identified by their kilts. The landowner shared his uncertainty about their purpose in the area, which sparked discussions among the men around the table. Lord Anthony inquired, "Were they soldiers?" The late arriving landowner replied, "I believe they are Edward the Bruce's people, and they were indeed wearing kilts." Another landowner asked, "What are they doing out here?" A fellow landowner chimed in, "Can we use them?" Lord Anthony contemplated the situation and responded, "We can ask them. It seems that the Lord has sent them to assist us on his son's birthday in ridding our lands of Sir Ronan." Lord Anthony then rose from the table, stating, "I will go and speak with the leader of the 50 men. Who will accompany me?" His son, the late arriving landowner, and a few others volunteered to join Lord Anthony in meeting with Edward the Bruce's men, while the remaining group's task was to assemble as many soldiers as possible for the upcoming mission to rescue the kidnapped girl from Blackstaff Manor, an operation scheduled to take place in a few hours' time.